This is so Browns fans to me. These fans, I feel like, just always hope for the best in any offseason, but want to prepare themselves for what could go wrong. So this one comes from Ronnie Butcher in Chapmanville, West Virginia. He says, "Hey, Mary Kay, there's a lot of confidence that the Browns will have a winning season that could result in a playoff berth. But as you've stated, it only will happen if we see more of the 2020 version of Deshaun Watson and not the 2022 version in those last 6 games. So aside from Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett, who is another player that you would pinpoint that's essential to the Browns being able to make the postseason?"
I'm going to go ahead and say Elijah Moore, because I do think that Amari Cooper, we know what he's going to give the Cleveland Browns. We pretty much have a good idea that he's going to be that reliable pass catcher, that he's going to go out there, he's going to make that tough catch, and he's going to do all those kinds of things. Elijah Moore was sort of the X factor, the guy that they brought in that made someone like DeAndre Hopkins expendable, that didn't need a DeAndre Hopkins, because they went out and the big shiny new piece they added to their receiving core was Elijah Moore. They didn't spend a lot for him. They only traded down from number 42 to number 74. But he's sort of the guy that they are counting on to make this look a little bit different in the passing game. So I'm going to say Elijah Moore. I think he can be a key to making this offense pop.
Yeah, I mean, he to me is like what they were missing last year. And I've kind of said that about all the pass catchers they've added. Like, to me, him, Marquise Goodwin, Jordan Aiken, Cedric Tillman, like they all add something a little different than what was in that room. But I think we all know, knowing what they gave up for Elijah, right, in a second round pick, and he was a better player, I think, than they were going to get at that stage of the draft. Like, it is really key, because you went out, you basically used him as your second round pick and think that he can provide something. But I think so much of it is kind of intangible with that scramble drill stuff, which we've been talking about.
Yeah, and he's shown it. He showed tremendous promise as a rookie when he went out there and caught 5 touchdown passes. And it seemed like he was going to be on a trajectory of 1,000-yard seasons, 7 touchdown catches, 100 receptions. And that is certainly where the Browns would like him to end up. And I think he's got the potential to do that. I think they're going to have the ball a lot more than they did. I think there's going to be enough to go around. And it's just going to be a matter of Deshaun figuring out who his favorite targets are. Who are his go-to guys? Where does he like to go with the ball? He's going to go to the open man. He's going to, he's going to take what's there. But you always develop sort of your favorites. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if Elijah becomes one of those guys. I think he will. But you never really know until you get it out on the grass.
Yeah, and I think for me, for this question, my runner-up, I think the receiving portion of this is so important with this offense. But I think my runner-up, I would say kind of like anyone on the defensive line that's not Myles Garrett. Like, you could say Zadarius Smith and make this easier, but I think defensively, what we learned from last year is that Myles needs some help rushing the quarterback to not only take some pressure off of him, but so that they, like we've talked about, Mary Kay, that they need to have multiple double-digit sack guys on this defense.
Absolutely, 100%. And I would definitely say that Zadarius is the other big name player that the Browns are going to need to step up big. If we took Deshaun out of the equation and we took Myles out of the equation and we weren't allowed to answer those guys, then I think Zadarius is your guy on defense that's going to have to come in here and really make this thing go. He can take so much pressure off of Myles. He can get so much pressure on the quarterback. And if he returns to his form, if he returns to the form that he has displayed over the previous 3 seasons, he should be a double-digit sacker. And I think he has new life breathed into him. He's got his $11.75 million guaranteed. He's someone that is sort of motivated by money. And now he's also got the opportunity to go out there and make that kind of money again. So it's basically a contract year for him. You're keeping him hungry. You're keeping him, not only maybe chasing a Super Bowl or chasing an NFL Defensive Player of the Year award, but chasing another contract. And some guys are really motivated by that in a contract year. So I think that's a good dynamic to have with him. And I think the opportunity is really there for him and Myles to have some nice synergy together and to really make some cool things happen up there on that line.
I know he certainly struck me as having that energy.